here? Free lunchbox? Looks like a baby bag, actually. Wonder if it'll have a diaper in it. Someone left this thing behind. It's filled with returnables. Nice bag, though. Oh, yeah, dude. I've been looking for a new soft lunchbox. And hey, if someone left it there, man, that's fair game in my book. That's litter. Just suggested to me probably a month ago. Ozark was suggested to me, and the person who suggested it said, if you like Breaking Bad, you're gonna like this. And he was right to a certain extent. I think the big thing I like about Breaking Bad was the storytelling, and I realized that more and more because Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, what they were able to do with Better Call Saul was take something like Law, which is dry and boring, and they made it super interesting. I was glued to that show from day one. Car behind. Glued to that show from day one. But this is not about Better Call Saul, but its brother, its older brother, that some people think is better, some people think is worse. Breaking Bad. Walter White versus Wendi Byrd, the two kingpins of the drug cartels. Which person do I think was better at the job? Which show was better? All that kind of stuff. I'll touch quickly on, like, who was the better kingpin? Who was the better leader of? I mean, that's the thing. You could say Wendi was a kingpin. She wasn't really. She's just a puppet to the Navarro cartel. 100%. But I'll give her this. She was definitely way more convincing to her family than Walter White was. And one thing that I disagreed with when she first did it, I think it's partly poor writing, but I also think it's partly makes more sense, is she got her family on board early. You know, the second they moved to the Ozarks, she told the kids, you know, your dad's a money launderer for a drug cartel, and that's why we're here. Look at that. Oh, you can't see that. There's a cat sitting on that porch, just vibing. Whereas, you know, Walter started off doing horrible stuff. Walter started off doing horrible stuff, and he never involved his family because he didn't want them to know, which I think is more the realistic path. Morning. I think that's the more realistic path to take. You know, you want to protect your family, especially if, and Walter's in just a completely different situation. Walter makes the decision to cook meth, to try to leave something behind, you know, a legacy, money. He wants to leave this stuff behind for his family so they don't just think he was a boring family man. I mean, that's the whole idea about Breaking Bad that I think they really touched on very well. This whole idea of the whole concept of Breaking Bad, really, at least in my opinion, was if you have nothing left to lose, you know, if you had 1 month left to live, how would you live it? And Walt decided that he would live it being as brutal and as horrible to other people as the world had been to him. It's the whole idea of, if you had one day left to live, how would you live it? And there's so many characters. I mean, Gustavo was always going to be this ruthless man that did whatever he had to do to get his revenge on the cartel, even if it meant him dying in the process. He could have easily had someone else try to kill Hector, but instead he wanted to do it because Hector was the one who took his lover away from him. Jesse is going to claw and fight no matter what to try to stay alive, as Mike Ehrmantraut did. You know, if Mike Ehrmantraut had one day left to live, he was going to die running, which, I don't know, I disagree. Walt, if he knew he had one day left to live, every single time, what did he do? He fought. Every time. And in the end, it got him eventually. And I think that's human nature to fight. Skyler, so it's the thing. So I've watched that show twice through now, and I probably will watch it a third time through. I lose Walter after about season 2. I stopped caring about him. I stopped sympathizing with him because he just does some horrible stuff. Like when Combo dies. Combo's death is so sad. Especially once that scene happened with his mother. You know, I had a hard time not feeling like, you know, Walter's a monster. He doesn't give any craps about anybody. And so, that, I mean, Breaking Bad, that's really what, the way I look at it is. Breaking Bad is a show about, you know, exploring death, exploring decisions, and exploring manliness. Someone said that Breaking Bad is a show that shines a mirror on toxic masculinity. And I cannot agree with that statement more. And there's not a problem. See, and I think a lot of people get offended with that because they don't understand what people are trying to say when they say that. We're not saying that masculinity is inherently toxic. We're saying that toxic masculinity is inherently bad. And then Ozarks, the real premise of that show is family. Now it's about a family unit in this horrible situation and everyone doing their part to try to get them out of it. I think where Ozark really failed, that Breaking Bad succeeded. And I know Jason Bateman wrote it this way, so I blame him, really. I think that for Ozark to have been fulfilling and good, the people who deserved punishment should have gotten it, and the people who didn't deserve punishment should have maybe not succeeded, but like Jesse. You can't tell me that you think Jesse deserved to be kidnapped and, you know, sold into slavery. But that's what they did to him. Keep going, dude. Keep going. You're not there yet. But Ruth's death really pisses me off because, one, it's out of character. You know, her getting out of that car when she knows that there's someone at her house probably getting ready to kill her. I'm sorry, that's out of character. It doesn't make sense. She would turn around and try to at least run. It's unfair. Ruth should have, in order for that series to have succeeded, I think one of the Byrds should have died. And I think it should have been, unfortunately, even though I think it would have been way more tragic, in my opinion, if Charlotte had died. Because Charlotte was kind of becoming her mom. She was starting to act like her, be like her. What do you have here? Free lunchbox. Looks like a baby bag, actually. And look at how it'll have a diaper in it. someone left this thing behind. It's filled with returnables. Nice bag though. Heck yeah, dude. I've been looking for a new soft lunchbox. And hey, if someone left it there, man, that's fair game in my book. That's litter. Yeah, Wendi, a lot of people compare Wendi to Walter, and I think it's pretty fair. I think the big difference is that Wendi was successful at something at one point in her life, and she let it go. Well, it's not that Walter wasn't successful at anything. It was more he never had that big accomplishment to put, you know, an asterisk next to his name that he wanted. I think that is, you know, that kind of always bugged him. And that was why he wanted to, you know, start cooking crystal meth. That for money. But it was mainly an ego thing. Anyone that says otherwise, I think is silly. What gene does this say? I think, so in story-wise, I think, let's just be simple about it. In the storytelling aspect, which character do I think accomplished their goal better? Probably Walt. Because Walt actually, at the end, had full control over his destiny. He chose to work with the white supremacists, and you know that kind of screwed him over in the end. I don't know that I would have done that. The thing with them is they had power, and he was just so thirsty to have power, and they were willing to do whatever he asked because, you know, they're a bunch of skinhead idiots. Whereas Wendi started doing the same thing with Navarro and with the cartel, but she quickly realized that they can be manipulated, but only to a certain extent. Because they will come for their revenge one. They will do it. Especially if you wronged them. Like when Ruth killed Hobby. When Ruth killed Hobby, she painted a target on Wendi and Marty's back. So I think in the long run, Wendi and Marty got the raw end of the deal. They ended up having to basically like I said, Walt was in charge of his own destiny. He was doing distribution, he was doing the creation, he was getting all the money, paying a minimal amount out to every product run. I mean, Walt made out very well in the end. Marty and Wendi never really got out from under the thumb of Navarro and the cartel, and I don't think they ever will because they're too useful. Overall, I think Breaking Bad is a better show, which I don't think is any surprise. Breaking Bad nailed 6 seasons, where Ozark fiddled through 2, and then flunked 2. So it's about a 50-50. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to the writing, but after about halfway through season 2, something flicked. Maybe it wasn't until season 3. I always think of Jacob's death as the big catalyst once Darlene took over. But on the other hand, like I've told many people already, I think after Jacob's death, Wendi just becomes insufferable. So you're almost rooting for her. All right, go down through here. yeah, so Breaking Bad, I think, takes the dub. Ozark's okay. It's not a bad show. I just think it could have done with maybe some rewrites and maybe take some of the control away from Jason Bateman. I don't know if it's his fault, but the fact that he was a lead writer and an actor on it, let's be honest, he was trying to make his Breaking Bad. That's what he was trying to do. But what he forgets is Bryan Cranston only directed a handful of really good episodes. Bryan Cranston didn't direct every episode in every season. And while I'm willing to bet that he didn't direct all of it either, it sounds like he had a pretty heavy hand in it. And I think Vince Gilligan, as much as people might think he's a god, I don't think he had Breaking Bad all figured out when he started filming. I'm willing to bet that most of it was done on the fly, because you hear all these stories. Tuco was supposed to be the main bad guy in season 2. Jesse was supposed to die at the end of season 1 to raise the stakes for Walt. Blah 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 blah. You hear all this stuff. You hear all these different stories. This and that and the other. And this person was supposed to survive until season 6. And they died in episode 4. I don't know if that person's going to stop. They are not. None of them are. Just go. Just go. You're fine. I appreciate it, but it's like I'm not a car. I mean, I'm not a pedestrian. I'm a cyclist, dude. So yeah, if you agree, if you like Breaking Bad more, if you like Ozark more, leave a thumbs up down below. If you like Breaking Bad more, how about you subscribe? So next week I'll go into my theories on Walter White's hair loss or something. I don't know. I always love those theory videos. But we will chat very soon. Thank you all for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and we'll see you all next time. Woo!